Cool. So we'll get started. I think what we're gonna call this thing the Vermont Music Show, at least for the time being.
Perfect, man.
And so this is a place where Vermont musicians talk about Vermont music, hosted by myself, Will Andrews, aka Wolverine, and our friend Mark Daly.
Hello.
In this week's episode, we'll be talking with singer, songwriter, guitarist, and semi-pro pickleball god, Zack DuPont. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm overjoyed to be talking with Zack DuPont. Zack is an incredible singer, songwriter, and guitarist, and very close friend of mine for the last 10 or so years. Zack and I met during a Jaffe Ryder gig at St. Lawrence University, where Zack was doing sound and truly a wonderful job at it.
Java Barn?
No,
Yes.
it was technically the Java Barn, but we were playing in like the student center.
The student center.
Yeah.
I remember you were very stoic, and you would ask for more trumpet, and you just go.
Well, that's what the pros do, man.
And I was like, these guys are legit. Let's rip Liz on in the parking lot.
Oh man, that was wild. But Zack has played in many bands in the Vermont music scene. Hollywood Farm, Zack DuPont and Friends, the DuPont Brothers, Sound Brother, Jaffe Ryder, the Dub Scouts, Dude, DeLuca and DuPont, which is awesome.
Dude.
And then the Swift.
Is it called Dude? I don't think I knew that.
Will calls it Dude.
Yeah, it should be called Dude. Yeah.
I like it.
And then, and now Zack is playing with the amazing trio of Matt DeLuca on drums and Robinson Morse on bass.
Yep.
You know, Zack
too.
And what?
I sneak in there with Chorney too.
Chorney. Yep.
And Annie,
Can't
and
forget
sometimes Franny, sometimes Francesca Blanchard.
Yes. A good friend of mine. Zack has experience as a band leader, a sound guy, a storyteller, an opening act, a headlining road dog, and pretty much everything in between. Pumped to talk with you today, Zack. How's it going, my friend?
Dude, pretty good. Pretty good.
Just look at the fire.
Guys, I love this. This is good. This is the best, man. But yeah, it's good. I've been all over that, all over the weird stuff, everything. 10 years, kind of DIYing it with music, like literally doing every job known to a musician's existence, you know?
Yeah.
In that time. And it's cool, you know, it's cool. I'm like totally went a little different direction. Now I do social work, private care with a couple families for about 40 hours a week or so. And that's great. So I've like been able to kind of step back from music for a little, which is great because I really doing all that shit for so long was really exhausting. So I've had a nice break from music to recharge the old batteries. And now when I play music, it's like for all the personal elements of enjoyment and fulfillment. So it's great, you know, full circle.
That's it, man. That's it. Well, let's talk about full circle. Let's start from the beginning here, Zack. You want to talk a little bit about, you know, where you're from, where you grew up, some of the early music stuff for you?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Delaware, and
DE.
yeah, first state, Delaware, and my mom was a musician. She was a folk singer in the 70s, late 60s, 70s. She had a trio, 3-part harms.
Ooh,
my
really?
mom sounded like Linda Ronstadt or something. She had this beautiful, amazing voice. And so all that harmony shit that me and Sam did later in our lives, she like really kind of put us onto at an early age. She would always also be very outspoken about when we were flat or out of tune or whatever. flat. No, she's cool though. Don't worry. It's not a weird thing. She's cool. But she had his great ears and grew up down there. And I really sort of started playing guitar when I was 10 years old because that was like Nirvana, Nevermind, and like in like Green Day, Dookie was coming out and stuff, you know? And I started taking guitar lessons because other kids at school were doing it, you know? And I was like, cool, this looks fun. And I had a really great teacher at an early age. His name is Jack Marshall. And so I sort of got basics when I was 10, and my mom gave me this acoustic guitar, this Washburn acoustic guitar that I loved. And I sort of learned some just basic stuff. Then, you know, you get a little older and you start getting more into sports, and I was getting into sports and high school stuff. And I sort of lost focus on guitar until I was around, I always remember 17 or so. And I was like hanging out with some kids who probably smoking doobies, you know, and all of a sudden
smoking doobies.
Yeah.
With my brothers.
Yeah. Duber brothers. And they played some like Leo Kottke music. And I was like, holy shit, like this is so, first time I'd ever heard like finger style guitar. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, how, this sounds like 9 guitars. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is, you know, I was like, I'll never be able to play like this. So I started, but I wanted to. So I started taking lessons again from my same teacher that I had when I was 10. And he was a great finger style guitarist. And he taught me all those rolls, you know, the banjo rolls and like the thumb bass stuff. And the reason why I'm really going on this to start is because that's like my bread and butter. That's the foundation. And that's still how I play today, especially with Matt and solo gigs, is like it's finger style guitar. And so so I started learning about that stuff and alternating thumb patterns and how to play melodies and also keep the thumb bass lines going. And I got this old Martin guitar from the 40s when I was 17, and I just started playing every day. And so really from 17 till now, I started really wanting to get better at guitar. And that's how it all started. And then actually, I got to segue back here. Let's take a step back. I was also, you know, when I was around 16, 17, my parents got me Pro Tools and some microphones.
Cool.
Drum machine. Dude, but like I was listening to a lot of early 90s hip hop. And so actually the first music that I ever wrote were hip hop beats, like straight up. And so me and my buddies would sample stuff and we would write these, and then we just get blasted out of our gourds and try to rap over it. And it's, you know, it's just great. Yeah. Ugly stuff, but fun. And so, yeah, a lot of background, like a lot of music coming into itself at that time, like the guitar stuff, but also that. So that's how I kind of learned to write songs, was just by layering parts over each other and not having any idea what the fuck I was doing, but just trying shit out and getting better sounds. And, you know, and then all of a sudden you're writing songs. And it wasn't until I was 18 where I started writing songs with lyrics. And I wrote some horrible songs. I mean, the worst songs you've ever heard in your life, songs that I hear now, and I'm so embarrassed, but it's amazing to hear that. Like Sam, when we were on the road, like he used to like find these like demo tapes that I made when I was 18 from my dad, like archived them, and he just like to fuck with me, would like turn them on in the van, and I just hear myself singing these terrible songs, and he's just like just loving it so hard. And that was cool. Like my dad has always been a good like documenter of different periods in our lives. Like he would always archive photos or like,
that's cool.
You know, I have a framed like detention slip in my bathroom from when I was, you know, 10 years old or something that my dad framed. But yeah, that's it. It's like pretty well-rounded coming into music and little foundational stuff when I was younger. But I think everybody, if you're into music, you reach a certain age or point in your life where you're like, okay, I really just want to focus on this and go for it. And for me, that was around 17 years old. And then I studied music in college, basic Bachelor of Arts degree in music, a well-rounded education. And I was part of that whole Java barn scene at St. Lawrence, where I got to learn how to do sound. I had like a space that I could jam in all the time. I used to bug bands that would come over there to sit in with them, just kind of fearless bullshit. and just going off of that green, like, just I can do this, like, invincibility shit. And I probably sucked so bad, but I got like myself on the stage with like DJ Logic once. I got to sit in with him and these other bands, and it was like, you know, he probably was like, this kid sucks, but I got there, dude. And that, I think that is, there's something there, right? Like, that's how you do like music. You just pull it out of your ass and like book gigs and like just try to like talk your shit up in a way that people let you get on stage, you know? And so that, yeah, that's a lot of information all at once, but that's sort of what happened. And then after college, I just sort of went for it and tried to get myself on the road, and yeah, just went for different stuff, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I could keep just blabbering on forever about this shit.
That's cool. The one thing, like, and Mark, hop in if you have any questions too. The one thing I was thinking, Zach, was like the first inclination of your individual music. Like, who were you trying to sound like? Who were you trying to emulate?
That's a good question. I mean, I think initially it was like a lot of, like, since my mom like really raised us on the Beatles and like Crosby, Stills and Nash especially, and James Taylor and Leo Kottke for sure. Mm-hmm. Like that I think I was coming from that Laurel Canyon, like West Coast 60s golden era folk thing, you know, but also, you know, just sort of whatever, you know, there's a lot of like trial and error back then too, but yeah, but a lot of layering of harmonies, like weird harmonies, you know, just sort of just going off of instinctual stuff. I've never been much of a reader of music at all, or a theory person. I mean, I understand basic theory, but it's never been a part of me. Yeah, it's never been a part of me, of my approach to music. And I think today, like, it is a little bit of a regret, just because I wish I could like chart stuff out for people like who are more in that world. But I think a lot of people who write songs, especially, and play guitar too, guitar being an instrument that you're not drilled to learn how to read with usually. You kind of just like find your own thing, you know, and you go for it. And a lot of it's feeling based and instinct based. And I think that makes for some interesting songs and some interesting approach. I think, not to say that you can't get there with the theory stuff too, because plenty of people obviously have that gift. But there's something about always sort of like, opening up like the next little box of musical chocolate on the Christmas calendar, you know what I mean? Just like what's behind that door and that one? I like that one, but I don't like that one at all. But this one's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
You know?
I mean, we could end this now. That was just the gold.
Boom. Yeah, what a great analogy.
Yeah, it really, it's kind of like, and then, you know, and then after you're done with all of it too, you can light the calendar on fire if you have a bad experience.
Yes.
I don't know. I've always admired you're so good at finger picking, and I don't know why I never drew the Leo Kottke comparison, but that makes so much sense. I haven't listened to a ton of his stuff, but as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, no duh. Just like based off of your style and
Definitely.
I'd love to hear more about like you and Sam's development early on, and like,
oh man,
it's cool to hear that your mom was a folk singer, because obviously you guys have that like family connection, musical connection, and it just, when you have that double whammy, like the musical connection and the like genetic, it's like a double whammy. So it seems like a very deep rooted thing. I'd love to hear about like early on when you and Sam started to jam together, or when you like noticed it clicking, sort of.
Yeah, it's a pretty beautiful story, really, in a lot of different ways. Like, unlike me, when I first, like I was saying, when I first started writing songs, they were really a lot were terrible. Like Sam Sam went through a lot of personal shit when he was young, a teenager, with some addiction stuff, and he just like got into a bad pattern and sort of habits, and it was kind of a scary thing, and so my parents, he was at an age where they were legally allowed to take action to get him some help, sort of, not being 18. And so they sent him to rehab out in the woods. He was out in the Georgia Blue Ridge Mountains for about, I think, 4 months outside, just living outside, doing a wilderness program. And that was pretty amazing. And so he started playing, he had to earn different things. Like if you behaved well, then okay, you get a guitar or something. And that happened after a while. He got the little Martin backpacker guitar. And so he started writing songs from a really emotionally intense place. It was like severely needed for him to write songs. It wasn't like me, like an exploratory kind of fun. I mean, it was, but it was coming from a different place is what I'm trying to say. A place of like real vulnerability and real self-discovery at a really young age. So he's getting some crazy stuff off his chest. So I remember he was out there and he started to write songs, and then he went out to Arizona and sort of kept going with the rehab stuff and finished high school out there. And I would go out to visit him a couple times a year. And I remember the first time I knew he'd been playing guitar, and he was always, again, he had that exploratory thing too, though. And he was really into finger picking too, and alternate tunings, especially, though. There was a lot of weird, he would just make up this shit. He had very little musical background. He took a couple lessons from that same guy I took lessons from. But Sam is pretty raw, self-taught musician, which is why I think he is such a special musician to this day. And so I go over there, and we're sitting out on his porch. They're giving him a little bit more leeway because the brother's visiting. So we're kind of having a moment out in the middle of the desert. It's fucking time. It's like probably 60 degrees. Stars are just everywhere. No towns are in sight. It's pretty remote where he was. And he starts playing me the songs he's writing, and I was just blown away, man. Like just totally blown away. Just at the depth of what he was doing and the choices he was making with the progressions and the melodies and even the lyrics at the time. He was 17 then, 16, 17. And it was really fucking powerful. I was like, holy shit, like this is the first stuff.
Yeah.
Like this guy is doing. I'm like,
you're like, where are those shitty demos? Like,
yeah,
come on.
This is like, I'm like, this is the first like try? Like, holy. And I was so fucking just blown away. And I just, that I wanted to come back. And so I came back again, and I brought recording gear to get some of his songs down on the, the rig. And I added some other instruments, and it was just this beautiful kind of bonding thing that we did together. And I always just like knew in my mind, I was like, this guy doesn't need to slug it out. Like, I want to help him as much as I can to get just on stage and not deal with all the bullshit that I dealt with of trying to, doing open mics and just doing, different things and probably playing with, weirder people that you shouldn't anyway. So I made it my business to try to, as soon as he was out of school, I was like, dude, you got to move to Burlington and we got to play in a band together, and from there it sort of started just happening. And he totally fully committed. He uprooted his life from Arizona, moved to Burlington. And we made this little live DuPont Brothers EP with Sharba on the drums and Peter Craig on keys. And Will, I think, were you playing?
I was playing too? Yeah, I think Melvin was playing bass.
Yeah, Melvin with Pat Melvin on bass, and you were on trumpet, right?
Yep.
It was gorgeous. It was pretty cool. It was like more mainstreamy, almost Nashville sounding stuff. And And I think initially that's where Sam was coming from, like really happy writing styles. He was pretty influenced by this guy, Ben Howard, at that time.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys
I know
ever
Ben Howard.
Howard. And other guys that I didn't really listen to, like Def Cab for Cutie and stuff, and like different. Sam is definitely, I think, influenced by, oh my God, I'm like, well, how am I blanking at his name? The Def Cab.
Ben Gibbard?
Yeah, Ben
Yeah,
Gibbard.
Ben Gibbard. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And Connor Oberst and stuff too earlier on. But yeah, we sort of just came right into it and went guns blazing. And we did the whole EP live and filmed it. So we had it actually at the time was a DVD.
Ooh.
Hey-o.
Which is just like throw it in the fire, you know?
Yeah.
Right? I'll just write it goes up. Oh, open up DVD right in there, recycle.
That'll burn well, I think.
That'll burn real nice.
Was that a pun too, right there? I didn't even mean to do that.
Uh-oh.
Because you could burn DVDs, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
I already forgot.
Yeah. But yeah, Mark, I mean, it's a long story, but I wanted to just like hit on that history in the beginning because it was very emotionally charged from day one. And then we sort of started coming into it. And we realized we couldn't tour with a band. We couldn't afford it, but we also had this chemistry as just a duo. And we started playing a lot more duo, but I'll never forget when we first started playing with the band, it was early on, we were like, let's play a duo set at the Monkey House. And it was so bad that we both were in the car afterwards. We were like, let's never play duo again. It was so bad. Like we were so upset with it. But then of course we started playing almost exclusively as a duo for a while until we sort of a couple years in, we're able to take a couple more people out on the road with us. And, but yeah, it was just a journey. A lot of, like both of us write songs very like prolifically, I guess. I mean, we both have that tendency to write. And so we always had to deal with sort of some conflicting styles, I guess. And until I think we really kind of came into it at the end, which by then we had gotten so pissed off at each other in the car so many times that it was just time to hang it up, really after we both quit the band, we were playing the best music together that we ever
Right.
did. But yeah, it was cool. But we toured so much, man. We would do a couple hundred shows a year and it was all DIY booking and I did all the booking. It was just ripped my hair out. We both had so much anxiety in the band for different reasons, kind of just get, cause we got to a reputation that we were great openers and we opened for so many national acts, tons and tons of national acts.
Like who? Like what were some of the highlights of those?
I mean, Bahamas, love Bahamas, Patrick Watson from Montreal we were both big fans of his. Sam Amadon, Blake Mills, Julian Lage and Chris Eldridge, Jerry Douglas, Pat Benatar.
Pat Benatar.
Pat Benatar. What is a battlefield? Yeah.
Oh, that's
dude, but and that's the thing. It's like we actually got an offer once to open for ZZ Top. We could.
No way.
Do it. We were on the road, and it was like an arena show. Like not an arena, but it was like a big outdoor.
Yeah.
ZZ fucking Top show. So it's like it was so weird, and so we had like these allies with clubs, like people like Mark at Club Helsinki and stuff, like those kind of places that were pretty established venues trusted us, and so they'd let us come in and open for bands, and they would try to help us grow. But then you go through the phase of like just trying to corral these agents to like give a shit about what you're doing. And dude, I'll never forget. I had been talking, and again, like I'm doing all this shit behind the scenes. We've been talking to this agency for like a year and a half, and I finally get them to come out to a Nashville, songwriter shootout showcase. Where you get like 15,
let's go, boys.
Yeah, just like 15 minutes to like fucking try to do the best you can with like the shittiest sound of your life. And like,
that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
oh, just everything went wrong that night. And me and Sam got into the worst, terrible fight. And then like we would go afterwards, we stayed with my buddy, Aaron Lee Tashian, who's a great musician. And then his roommate was like, the guy, Lore Jometz, who's like, Sturgill Simpson's fucking guitar player at the time, and we jammed with him afterwards. He's like, "You guys are so good," and it's like, "No, you are really good, though." It's like, so you get these like crazy lows and highs that just bipolar existence, you know, like, and I think that since me and Sam again came into it so emotionally, and we're such emotional people, like it was hard for us to deal with the inconsistency, you know, and that's, I think, what sort of just pushing ourselves the way we did and playing all those shows and being brothers and family and having no filter, it was sort of just like led us to the point of like, hey, let's preserve our relationship and like put this music down. But I still have hope and a theory that like we might come back and do it again. You know what I mean? Like just one microphone, 2 acoustic guitars, just singing like little birds together. You know? That's it. But you know, I know I'm sorry, I'm just rambling, dude.
No, this is good. This is really good, Z.
A lot of ground to cover, but I'm gonna turn it over to you guys.
No, I think this is the point. I mean, it's just a really interesting story. Like I've known you for a very long time, and some of that stuff I did not know. As we're still like on the touring sort of stuff, could you give me like an example of like a horrible tour story and then also like a really awesome one? Like the first thing that comes
the horrible ones are a lot easier to remember. There's a shitload of those. Yeah. Like literally like, oh man, like dude, okay. Like, so, I mean, we used to do a lot of house concerts, which was cool. Because usually you made pretty decent money and you kind of connected with people. But like also
good for selling merch too.
Yeah, there's weird shit, right? Because you're in someone's home. You're kind of like committed to like being in this person's family for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
So dude, like this is the weirdest. This is one of the weirdest. This is so fucking weird, dude. Okay, so we're in like Michigan somewhere.
Is this weird?
Oh, it is. You guys are gonna, if you like weird, you're gonna love this. So we're in like Michigan somewhere, rolling into a person's home for a house concert. It's an off night. It's like a Tuesday, but the guy's like, "No, you're good." And there's a network of people in house concerts that email back and forth, and they vouch for you. And they're like, "No, yeah, we had these guys last summer. You should grab them and just try to make something happen." So it was like a last minute Tuesday night. Hey, we have a night off. Can you swing this kind of thing? So
I'm already scared for you. I'm already scared about this.
Yeah, dude, totally. So we get up to the house, and we told the guy we'd be there at a certain time. We were there, and we're knocking on the door. We're ringing the doorbell. No one's coming to the door. We're like, this is weird, because we see the car in the driveway. We're like, I think this guy's here. He just told us he'd be here. So we keep calling, and finally, like maybe 5 minutes later, he comes to the door. And it's like a pretty normal looking guy. He's like, "Hey, so sorry, man. I didn't hear you guys. I was, down in the basement, and here we are. Let me show you where to go, and you come on in." And I go to shake his hand. He goes, "I'm a hugger." I'm like, "All right, this is weird already, but I'm going to stay at this guy's house. I got to stay at this. I got to play the game here. I can't be a weird douchebag or something like, you're
so much schmoozing.
There's no green room, right? There's no like employee thing going on. It's not like a production manager. It's like a person and in their home. So I'm like, okay, cool. Here we go. We'll hug it out. So we hug it out. We get inside. He's like, "You can put your stuff down in the basement." So, I'm in tunnel vision at this point. Sam's always a little more observant than I was at times. So we're making gear runs up and down the stairs to the basement where we're going to play. After the second run up to the car, we were kind of staggered, and Sam like kind of hustled to like get up to the car with me. And he's like, "Yo, dude." I'm like, "Yo, what's up? What's wrong? What's up?" He's like, "Did you see that down in the basement?" I was like, what? Like where we're playing? Yeah, it's kind of small and weird or whatever. He's like, nah, dude, no. He's like, did you? He's like, come down in the basement again with me, and I'll show you. So we go down there, and I know,
dead bodies or something.
that would be amazing if there were dead bodies. But we get down there, and he points to this guy's desk, and he has, you know, like the video editing setup with the 2 monitors, huge monitors, and there's just porn blasting.
Oh,
there's just porn. Just porn is blasting on both screens, different porn.
Oh, my God.
2 screens?
2 double screen, different porn. And I start putting things together like he was late to get into the door.
Yeah.
No.
You know, he was kind of red in the face when he got to the door, and then he hugged greasy porno hands. You know?
No wonder he wanted to be a hugger. He's like, this hand is...
Well, and then the guy had like, he was married, but like he had this like mistress come over to the house concert who ended up staying the night. And then we're like, we kind of loosened up after the show, and we're kind of smoking some dubs in the house and like having some gin and tonics. He's like, I got this great gin. I'm like, great. I'm going to hit that pretty hard tonight.
Yeah.
Because porno guy, you know, I got to get something out of this. So I'm hitting the gin and tonics, just fucking blasting myself. And he's like, oh, and then he comes over. We're around the island in his kitchen and just, you know, having a little drinks with the mistress. And Sam is sober at the time, so he's like, just like, this is so fucking weird. I'm going to bed. And so again, like once again with the porn, he's like, oh, I go to Jam Cruise every day. Let me show you the lineup. He picks up his iPad. Sure enough, turns it on. First thing that comes out is porn. And at that point, I'm forced to say, hey, man, it's not weird. I already saw the other one because I'm loose and shit. I was like, I already saw your porn before, dude. It's cool if you watch porn. Whatever, dude. I'm sleeping in the guest room. Like, that's the weirdest shit. That was really weird. Then another time we got asked to do, this is one other story I'll say. We got asked to do, like, dude, so basically, like, this fucking guy who's, like, a friend of a friend is, like, telling us, like, he's Dave Matthews, like, manager or some bullshit like that. And so he sets us up with this gig in Nashville to play at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, it's a Broadway, like a Nashville Neon Lights Broadway country music bar. We're supposed to play their folk music at 12 a.m. at night. And he's like, no, it's cool, man. Like, Dave Matthews is going to watch the stream. And I'm like, this is such garbage. So we literally walk up to the door, and the doorman's like, get in line. It's like freezing out. Like, no one's in line. We're like, what line? He's like, get in line. We're like, you want us to walk back around the thing and then come back and talk to you again? Okay. So we go around the thing. No one's in line. We come back. We're like, hey, it's us again. And he's like, we're like, hey, Sam starts, you know, we're like, hey, we're playing at midnight. And the guy goes, no, you're not. We're like, ooh. Well, I think, no, we are playing. We're supposed to play at midnight. He's like, no, you're not. No way. No way. And so Sam goes, I start getting this. I'm like, oh, fuck this guy so hard. I'm like swearing under my breath. I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't want to play this gig at all anyway. We had just left a Lucius show, too. We were watching Lucius.
Ooh,
and,
nice.
Dude, early on, segue, we opened for a band called the Spring Standards in Delaware. And one of them, the guitar player, Peter Lalish, was dating the lead singer, and he's in Lucius. And after that show, he came up to us. This was like a year and a half into our shit. And he's like, hey, man, I got a studio in Brooklyn, man. Like, you should come make a record out. And we were like, yeah, whatever, dude. The fuck are you? The guy from Lucius wanted us to go to the studio and make a record. We were just so dumb. We're dumb. Yeah. We're idiots. Fucked up. We did a bunch of stupid shit like that. Yeah. But so the door guy doesn't let us into the show. And Sam is like being really calm and trying to like talk to him like a, you know, really reasonable guy. And he still doesn't let us in. So I go, you know what? You're right. We're not fucking playing this show. And I just leave. And the guy got fired like the next day because like promoter called. He's like, where were you guys? We were like, dude, your door guy didn't let us into the fucking club, dude. Like, he's like, oh. He goes, what did he look like? I was like, oh God, this is like, Yeah, dude. So, porno in the basement, house concert, like not getting let into your own gig, Paul Simon style wristband, you know?
Yep.
And those were some lows, some weird moments. Some highs were probably like, dude, honestly, like getting to open for like people like Blake Mills and Julian Lodge and like getting the nod from those guys and Jerry Douglas, like Grammy Award winning guys, like just the musicians always really got us and really, really respected what we did. And those were some of the highlights. I remember once too, we played a variety show in Charlotte at this theater and there was 1,400 people there and we got 2 songs and we just like blew it out of the water. And you don't get paid, but you sell merch. And we sold out our merch that night. That was like, we sold over $1,000 in merch. And we got to do some pretty amazing house concerts too. Like some people who really go for it. Like we played this one really pretty high tier house concert in Chicago called Val's House Concerts. And she just, dude, on a Tuesday night, she got 200 people to her house. And, you just get a barrel of fucking money and you're like,
yeah,
this is great, and we had help with the tour once from an agency and that was cool. That was sort of, we thought we really were gonna maybe have some ground. Exactly, and of course it just, went the other way, which it can do. But yeah, I mean, and dude, we opened for Sturgill Simpson at Joe's Pub, in New York when he had just released Meta Modern Sounds and Country Music and he just played Jimmy Kimmel and David Byrne was backstage and we were like, what the fuck? And so it's like we would always be on the cusp of those things. We really, like I said, we really got trusted as openers and that was a way I was able to really hustle and like lean on clubs to get us in the doors and be like, dude, we opened for all these people. And so I tried to leverage that, but dude, it was so weird. Like we would sell tickets one night and then the other night we'd sell no tickets, like we would go back to the same market we sold tickets at and nothing the next time, So it was all these ups and downs, but it was fun, man. I loved it. I wouldn't change a thing, It was just like, just cool to have that. Really, like after doing that for over a decade, I was like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
If I could do this, which is so fucked up and crazy, I can do anything, and that's like, so I'll always have that sort of like that hustle and that sort of making something out of nothing, which is, I think, another way for creative people to use their creativity, to improvise and turn something into nothing, just like writing a song. You pick up your instrument and all of a sudden you start making something. So, it just was. Those are a couple low lights and highlights for sure. So funny. Oh my God, dude. Oh, so funny to think back on that shit.
I mean, you got to have so many more too.
Dude, there's just tons. I mean, when you play 200 shows a year outside of your home state, it's just like, yeah, dude, just tons. Like so many weird interactions with like terrible bands too.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Just like awful bands, like, and not even like just shitty people, like, but a lot of good people too. Like I can't say, but it's like Sam and I always were like a little competitive with it. Like we really wanted to do really fucking well when we did it. And, but we don't, we didn't care about like being better than someone else. And that is actually, that's a big mistake that I think a lot of young bands make when they're opening shows. They'll play longer than they're supposed to. They'll go backstage and brag about, we're the headliners. We're the real headliners. And it's like, know your role, and that's why we got a lot of those gigs is because we stayed out of the way enough, but put on a good enough little show for people to kind of get invited back, I guess. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
You guys ever stumble upon the acronym GGBB? It's like Good Guys, Bad Band, where you meet a band and they're really nice people and just solid people, but just not you didn't like the band. So it's GGBB.
I've never heard that before, but so many times, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of GGBBs. Yeah.
And I bet you there were people who thought we were a GGB.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean,
Probably.
That's such a beautiful term. Yeah, it's like, yeah, dude, and it's hard because I think there's just always an element of desperation being an artist, period, and it comes out, it manifests in all these like really hilarious ways. Like, hey, what's up, dude? DM me for a collab. Like, I'm doing this GGBB thing. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh my God, like people are shoving music literally in each other's faces like nonstop. And it happens, but I always find, I'd say, and I think this is sort of like just going with the whole GGBB thing. It's like the music that usually resonates the most for me is like, I'll naturally stumble upon it. Or like a trusted friend throws me a bone at a link that is, a lot of the times when, when people are really, really shoving the music in your face, it for me at least, I usually don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah. That's the hard part, because you want to be like natural and but outgoing, but you don't want to come off as being too much, like Definitely. How do you strike that balance where you're like being a good person but also trying to promote your music? It's kind of, it can be a tough line to straddle.
Totally, man. And I think it at the end of the day, it boils down to how the shit sounds, right? If it sounds good, it's awesome, and you can't really mess with that.
I want to let Will ask another question, but I just wanted to quickly say how cool it is. And this was a main reason why Will and I wanted to do this, was just already seeing like the parallels, and just stuff that you're saying that I totally can relate to, and Will probably can too. Yeah. Just like all these, parallels is the word, but it's just so cool to hear and kind of like reaffirming to hear from someone else, just like that we've all gone through similar stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, both of you guys have done so much with music, like in different shapes and forms too, right? Solo shows. Both of you guys are solo performers with your own kind of style in that way, and then also have played in many bands. Like I remember Mark, like Chamberlain was the thing, man.
Yeah,
like,
we were talking about that last time.
Like Chamberlain was like, whoa, these guys are like fucking going on tour with Grace Potter, like things, and it was a cool rock and roll band, and like anything, like who knows? I don't even know what happened. Things happen. That's life happened. And you get these glimpses of these highs, and you start getting a taste for that good life. And Jaffe Ryder has been a band for what, 16 years, Will, or like.
Dude, I was thinking about it. Started in 2003, so we're gonna have to do like. Hopefully, there'll be gigs in 2023, and we can do our 20-year anniversary show. It's
so crazy, and so many bands. You guys opened for before I joined the band, and we opened for. I mean, the Roots.
Yeah.
Like P-Funk.
Yep.
RJZ2.
Mm-hmm.
New Deal, Steve Kimmock, Soul Live, like
that's some major stuff right there.
Big. That's big business right there.
Yeah, man, for sure.
But and you're right, Mark. Though, like it's there's so many parallels and so many shared things. Like shared experiences that we all have to find our way through. And even like, my friends who've made it to the phase of having teams and, have people getting them on the road and stuff and have label support and stuff, man, they have different fears too. Just the same amount of fears as, or things, obstacles as independent musicians like us have, it just takes a different form, and it's such a liquid business, especially now. I think COVID just revealed how it was already totally liquid, like just changing so much. Like I mean, literally thinking about how and people call me a dinosaur for saying this, like, I don't give a fuck. Like not having revenue of selling your music, the fact that that's just like totally cool with people now, like, oh, whatever, dude, like, deal with it, grandpa, like, you don't fucking get it, dude. No, actually, you don't fucking get it, because for like the majority of musical history and existence, it was a method of currency. I mean, selling your music was, you could do it. And it's like that. I mean, it makes no sense what's going on right now to me. And I was like, you know, this is as conspiracy as I get, but like, I was like, the whole time COVID was happening, I keep thinking about musicians and how I'm lucky that I have now a job that supports me, and it isn't music related and it's consistent, like, you know, but I was just thinking, I was like, man, this would be the time for musicians to take it back and start, you know, saying, you know what, Spotify, fuck you for being like the only people that make money off of all the music that goes out. And it's just kind of how it is, monopoly style. And that musicians would maybe create a new platform that was, you know, and that was more maybe giving to music, you know, to artists. You know, it's pretty far-fetched at this point. I think the consumer is pretty obviously pleased with the way Spotify goes. And I mean, I am, as a consumer of Spotify, I'm like, this is insane. I pay $15 a month to have any music I want. Great. You know? But the truth is that what it would take to get the shift is for all artists to stand up and be like, no, that's actually not what I'm going to do with my music anymore. I value it. I want to get paid for it. And so, you know, if musicians were like, no, we're not going to do this, Spotify, then, you know, and there was another platform or something to get paid reasonably, that would be a way to start that revolution. It's kind of a pipe dream at this point, but if you really think about it, again, I always go back to how the majority of time with music, you know, the music had financial value. Mm-hmm. And so I think this idea of like everybody just needs to make their own records and stuff and just eat expenses and stuff, it doesn't seem sustainable to me. And it certainly influenced the way I think culture is with music and I don't know. It's not to go down that rabbit hole or open up that door. It's a big, maybe separate conversation to have, but I think my bottom line is like, I value art, right? I value unique individuals expressing themselves in a way that's sort of three-dimensional, a three-dimensional representation of all their feelings and emotions and stuff like that. And so I think, in that way, I'm an old school, and I think that should have some kind of value. I think people like you guys who are making great music and should be able to you know, support yourselves ideally off of it, you know, and really and in that way dedicate yourselves to it more and more, because it's like anything. It's not like a hobby, right? It's like, if you really want to get good at anything, you got to be able to put a lot of time into it. And if your time is limited, you know, by the fact that, hey, I got to pay some bills or whatever, you know, do some shit. It's hard, you know? So, I don't know. I have a little prayer. I think maybe, who knows, maybe after the COVID thing goes full circle, maybe music will get hot again. And maybe that'll be a leverage point for artists to maybe be able to reshape how the financial stuff is structured, you know? Because again, the touring industry closed the fuck down, right? Yeah. Like, and that's how bands were make all their money now, is by getting on the road. And so that's a hard life, man. Just having your agent just fucking just throw you on the pavement, drag you across the fucking pavement, you know? and just be sitting on their computer. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, I really care about what you're saying. Are you gonna make that gig? Okay, good, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be taking my fucking percentage, or whatever. And it's like, and labels, it's like, holy shit, like how the fuck do they make money? I don't even know, dude. Anyway,
pretty non-existent now.
Rant over. I know, it's like crazy. It's fucking. It's wild.
There's something liberating about the lack of industry right now. Like just it was so fucked before. I'm holding out a little bit of hope as well that like maybe a clean slate will be a good thing and like things will get better. Cause like, but I don't know. It's like how many musicians will it take to get like driven away or just like crushed due to how hard it is? Like how many is it going to take for people to like maybe recognize that or like
totally,
does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like I just feel like it's given how hard it is, it's driven a lot of musicians away or like they just can't maintain it. It's like not viable, like financially, emotionally. Like how many is it going to take people for you to recognize?
Dude, totally, man. And like, and a really good point you just made is like so many of those artists are amazing.
Yeah.
That like, it's like no lack of talent. It's almost like the more talented you are, the less chance you have of making it happen. And it's like, it's crazy. You got to like find your niche or whatever, but like, it doesn't make any sense that to be a band now and succeed is to somehow have access to large amounts of funds to market the fucking piss out of your music.
Yeah.
To the right places too, by the way. And not make anything back, just to go into fucking debt. Like a lot of the artists I know who are young and kind of got the team is like, cool, so you're going to take out this loan and we're going to just like kind of just chance it out. And it's like, but then how the fuck do you pay back the loan?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You're spending like thousands and thousands of dollars to just like get on the radar, get on the playlists, which are all curated. Spotify playlists are fucking curated, dude. Like they're paid for. Like people don't get that. People see bands they never heard of on late night TV shows. Bro, it's paid for. You know what I mean? You pay for the publicist that gets you. Look, there's a chance. There's sometimes fucking people get lucky and get those gigs too. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but the majority of it is usually bought. And, or just you have that fucking great manager that has those weird connections. Who knows? The point is it's so nichey and it's so like, again, liquid. And it seems like I never figured out how to get my music listened to on Spotify. Like never. And like you would see like the recap of bands, they're like, again, people are listening, which is awesome, like at grassroots or whatever. But it's hard, man. It's just like that. And that's the hard part is like having to wear all those hats, like artist, self-manager, self-marketer, all that. It's hard to like keep the ship afloat because you start losing sight of like what's really important, which is like trying to make the best music you can. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I really noticed and I got freed of. Like before, when Sam and I would play those gigs, we were playing like, and me especially, there's so much pressure. Like I was playing like I had everything to lose every single night.
Right.
And now full circle, taking the break, when I get to play music, it's like I play with absolutely nothing to lose. And I think what I'm noticing for me is that my music has gotten so much better, because of that. And, you start letting go of that shit and just, you're really in the music and you're not thinking about like, oh my God, is that agent that I called and emailed for the last 3 years, like in the audience somewhere? I think that's the person in the red sweater. I think that's her. I gotta play. Oh shit, I just missed that note. Fuck. Oh fuck shit, fuck. Oh my God, oh shit, we're fucking blowing it. Sam, you suck.
I'm flat again. Oh God, I'm flat.
Yeah, dude, like meltdown, like in the car afterwards, like for something that was hypothetical, it didn't mean anything,
That's so good.
So I don't know, it's crazy. crazy shit.
Z, that very well put, man. Hey, I'm gonna throw a bunch of quick hit rapid fire questions at you.
Yeah, great.
So what's your favorite lyric that you've written?
Wow. I don't know, man. That's hard to think of. I mean, there was like,
He asked me this too, and I had a really hard time.
It's a great question, and it's hard to
it's hard to pull them out of thin air sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the one that's like jumping in my mind is like Today is a Video Game for some reason. I mean, it's not the best or my favorite, but it's cool in that like it's sort of, that was like a more psychedelic phase of my writing and life, and sort of approaching it and sort of looking at the world in a satirical way, like everything is like a fabrication or something. And so there's some lyrics in there that are kind of cool. There's like the opening line is like waking up with eyes. Fuck, I forget it, dude. Never mind, dude. It just sucks. This sucks.
Is that sort of like a Truman Show vibe where like this whole everything's simulated kind of?
Yeah,
is that
totally. Waking up with eyes like an arcade streak of lightning in a retrovision sky. That's kind of cool. That's nice. That says a lot about the pixelated view and stuff. And yeah, totally Truman Show-ish. That's a great comparison. But I'll just throw that one out there for now. There's a lot of lyrics, a lot of them.
I mean, you're an awesome lyricist. So always
Lillard.
have been. What's your favorite like musical moment that you've recorded? So something musical on one of the records you put out that just stands out as one of the best things you've done.
There's a couple. I mean, I like a lot of the sessions I got to do. I love working with Francesca because she trusted me to like go. The way I like to work is like, I don't do a lot of preparation. I'd rather have instinctual, like right there, this is what I'm first feeling stuff. And it always worked out great. Like there's some parts on her records that I really love that we came up with on the spot. But also I really love the live capturing performance, like the record that the EP me and Matt DeLuca and I did is great because it's like all totally live and filmed in the studio. And there were some really cool moments in that stuff. 8-minute songs each, just going for it, just fucking ripping it. But yeah, that kind of stuff. And I love like Jaffe Ryder moments. A lot of recording at your house was really fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Because, you'd either have something for me to just do or like we just take a bunch of different things and then you chop them up. But yeah, those kinds of stuff, those are some good memories for sure.
I'm working on remixing one of Fran's songs that I was talking to you about. And I just took her vocal part and your guitar part. And I'm like, these are the only stems that I'm remixing. And your guitar stuff is killer. I got it cranked in the mix.
Yeah, there's some good guitar licks in there, or just riffs.
Riffs
and licks, man. Did-it-do.
Zach, acoustic or electric?
Both. Can't do one without the other for me. It's got to be both. Yeah.
Your favorite non-musical sound? The swift crack of the bat?
Oh my God, that's a great question.
I love that question.
So right now, this is an obvious one for me. I live out in Richmond now, and we have coyotes, and I fucking love the howling sound. The reef through the trees. It's haunting. I love that coyote.
We've got that out here too, isn't it? It's like fascinating to me, but also eerie. You're like kind of frightened, but also really intrigued.
Yeah, it's a double whammy.
Wow.
With emphasis on wham.
Whammy. Yeah, it's beautiful though. I love it. There's so much verb on it through the fucking forests and shit, man. It's like it sounds like a pedal steel or something.
Ooh, that's good.
Nice.
What's your worst musical injury?
Oh my God. Good question. Like injury during a musical thing, or like I got injured and it affected the music?
Either one.
I don't know if I've ever been injured playing music, which is lucky. Like I never fell off the stage or something, because people fucking do that shit.
Yeah.
But I remember it was so dumb. Like I went snowboarding during, this is when I was like 24 or 5. Like during the spring, it was loose, and I literally was like getting my bindings on, and I slipped backwards, and I put my hand down, and I fucking jammed the shit out of my finger on my left hand. And then I had like a bunch of gigs the next like week. So I had to play with like a broken finger, and I just taped it with a splint, and I couldn't solo. I just had to play weird jumbly chords with this like splint, and I somehow made it work. It was not good. I think
Did you use it as a slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That would have been fucking probably more a better use of what I was doing. But yeah, that sucked. I think also being a fingerstyle guitarist, like when I would break thumbnails, that was bad. Like it's so funny. It's like you're all of a sudden you got a gig like at night, and that happens. You can't play the way you like to, so you're like hitting up a fucking nail salon as a grown ass man and just like getting a synthetic nail put on your chin.
Did you do that? Did you actually do that?
I have done that once. Sam used to do that too. He used to have synthetic nails. I still grow my fingers out long, but they're regular. I only did that one time. It sucked. It was so bad. I just couldn't play like at all, you know? Weird though. Very weird.
Who's a local musician's music who you love, but you don't really know personally?
Nice.
I mean, we know everyone. So if you can't think of someone.
There's definitely some people, I mean, like Henry Jameson, I know him like, but not super well.
Yeah.
I think his music's amazing.
Yeah.
Like we're like totally like, you know, have had some laughs and chats and stuff, but he's, you know, he's great. I think his music's awesome. I think he's a really special musician.
What's like the last thing that you listened to?
Dude, so this is cool. I think I shared this playlist with you guys, Jazzercise. So I just took a bunch of, I've been making Spotify playlists. And there's all kinds of stuff. I just put a bunch of different jazz stuff on there. So the one that I remember, it's Joshua Redman Elastic Band song called Way Home. But actually the last song I listened to is this heavy, weird, odd meter jazz track by this trio from Europe called Depart. And it's in this weird, like 9 or something. It's so weird. And it's a horn trio with upright bass drums. The drummer is Jojo Mayer, that guy who plays in Nerve. And, but heavy, weird. And I literally, dude, I got off of work at like 8:30. I'm in my car. I'm like primally like singing the bass line and like going like this, like raging. And I'm so pumped up by myself. Like, I don't even know, up from this weird jazz music. And I'm just like, then all of a sudden I like realize what I'm doing. And I look over to make sure like no one's pulled up alongside of me. Like get arrested by a cop, like that guy's on meth or something. Like, I don't even know, dude. Like it was, but yeah, that was some jazzy stuff lately, I guess.
I don't even know. I don't even know.
No, I don't even know.
That's funny. You're not on meth. You're on jazz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you suck at musically?
I suck at reading music for sure. Terrible, helpless at that. I don't play the drums very well. I suck at the trumpet big time. Or should I say blow?
Oh.
But yeah, it's like I suck at playing like other people's music that's really hyper composed.
Yeah.
Hyper composed stuff. Like really written out, charted out. And like I've gotten offers as a guitarist to play with bands that have really proggy stuff and charts, and I'm like, not the guy. I'm not the guy. I could come in there and improvise and maybe do some cool stuff and lay out a lot, but never been a good reader. That's definitely a downside of that's not a musical strength of mine at all. More of a feeler.
What are some of your musical strengths?
I think just having intuitions and feelings, and having sort of becoming really familiar with who I am as a musician, and understanding what that means when I get out there and play with different bands and where I fit in. So really recognizing that. I mean, Chorney and I, when we started playing together, 0 rehearsals. I've heard his songs; they're in my ears. But we never rehearsed, and we could just do it with each other because we figured out that, we both have that method of like being a microsecond ahead of where the music's going, right? Mm-hmm. So having that intuition, when I was doing solo tours after the DuPont brothers broke up, I was opening for a lot of solo songwriters, and I would message them and say, hey, if you want me to accompany you on your set, I'm really comfortable doing that. And so I would get to the place, they would invite me up for a song, and then they'd have me play the whole set, because just having that intuition of knowing when to insert yourself into the music and when not to, and having a respect and being able to play around a vocal and hear chord changes unfolding in real time. So that's, I'd say, the intuition stuff, musical intuition, and sort of also audio storage and recognition. Like, I'm terrible at math, like I also don't have I have a good memory in some ways and a bad memory in others, but like I can sing you in the same key the Ninja Turtles theme song from when I was a kid, you know?
Yeah.
Like literally to the key, probably. Like it's just that shit gets stored in my brain. So I think all the music I've listened to is in there somewhere. And I think that I can access that when I'm playing. So yeah, sort of that audio recognition stuff and intuition, I think that's where I go with the music. And being in tune with who I am in my own musical process. I think those are the strengths.
Wonderful.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Hey.
This is perfect.
You're good at this. Did you know that?
Pickleball or racquetball?
Thank you.
Zach, pickleball or racquetball?
Oh, racquetball.
I was going to ask that question too, Will.
It's got to be racquetball because, I love pickleball, but racquetball's the first love. It's just a primal game. Pickleball's cool. This is what I tell people, right? If racquetball and pickleball are martial arts or like something like that, so like racquetball is just a fucking boxing match, right? It's just you're going toe to toe. You're throwing fucking haymakers. You're blasting that little berry as hard as you can in that court, 100+ miles an hour. Pickleball is more like Aikido or something.
Yeah.
Like or the what's the one where you're using people's momentum, like Tai Chi. It's more
like finesse.
Yeah, it is. It's like a soft game, but you can blast it too. And it's what I like about pickleball is it's so new. But it's not though. It's newly popular.
Yeah, right.
And it's new that there's a pro circuit. So like there's always new ground to break in pickleball, right? Like some people tell you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way. And it's like, well, actually I'm going to fucking just blast the ball at you as hard as I can. And you're not supposed to do that, but it's cool. So there's like new ground to break. And the other thing about pickleball is like everybody plays it. So like there's always people to play with versus racquetball is super niche. It was like wicked popular in the 80s and 90s. And then for whatever reason just fell off,
Yeah.
So you can play pickleball every single fucking day. And I had to stop playing racquetball because of COVID recently, which is a little heartbreaking. But since then, I've literally become fully addicted to pickleball, and I play every day.
Sometimes twice a day.
Sometimes get a double header in there, bud.
More importantly, how are you and Franklin doing?
Franklin and I are really, really doing pretty well.
Did you guys make up? I hope you guys made up.
Hung out a lot, and you know, it's a good scene over here. Franklin came back.
Hey, Franklin.
Yeah, he came back. So you know, we're on better terms now.
Oh, so happy to hear that.
It's pretty cool.
Mark, do you have any other last questions for Z?
I had some, but they're more applicable to like earlier conversations.
No
as far
worries.
as like the rapid fire stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask pickleball or racquetball too.
Well,
It's good. Good question, man.
yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go Will.
No, I was just going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach, thanks for taking the time. It was an awesome conversation. I feel like with the same thing that happened to Mark and I the last time we did this, it felt like this is just like part one. We could continue to talk about this stuff. I have, 300 more questions for you. It'd be great to have you back and talk a little bit more, maybe specifically about some of your songwriting techniques or, your golf swing, some of those things.
Chronic slice into the woods. Very simple approach.
Yeah.
Probably also have a whole part relating to that. I don't know when this was, Zach, but you and I were like going through the same thing back maybe a year ago, and we're like going to talk about it, but I don't think we ever end up doing it. But that whole realm of redefining what success is, and like coming to a better place after decade plus of slugging it out, and just like finding the happiness in music again. Like we could talk about that for a while. That would be next time.
That would be great, because I think it's such a common theme, in everybody's journey. And I think you just nailed it though. Like the key is finding enjoyment in it with anything you do, right? If you're doing something and you don't enjoy it for whatever reason it is, it's probably not the right thing, or maybe there's stuff getting in the way of what you really are trying to do. But yeah, that would be a whole thing for sure, man.
Well, cool. Well, Zach, thanks for taking the time, my friend. Awesome.
Great stuff.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. You guys, it's good you're doing this, and I appreciate you guys having me, man. It's just also fucking great to see you boys right there on that screen there.
Yeah.
I see.
Ditto.
Yeah.
We were both just like, Zach's got to be the first.
Yeah.
Guest. Like,
yeah, exactly.
No doubt about it.
Man, I'm honored.
I'm impressed. My kids didn't interrupt me until right now. Can you?
Nice job, kids.
Fine, man. We got to wrap it up.
William put me on a Lego.
Oh, he pushed it. He's dressed like Phoebe Bridgers over here.